CentralValleyTalk.com.
Today's program was brought to you by the National Federation of Independent Business, the voice of small business. Welcome back, everybody. My next guest is Thiesen Labiak. He is an attorney here in Fresno, doing a lot of different things, bankruptcy and a little bit of personal injury work. And we're going to actually talk. We're going to talk a little bit about updates in bankruptcy law, but we're going to talk about the legal profession in general. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having me today.
Okay, so one of the most frequently asked questions in the circles I travel in is, who do I go to for an attorney? Or how do I know I'm getting the right attorney? So I'm going to let you take the ball and run with this one.
Thank you, Tim. That's where a lot of this comes from, and why I brought this up with you today is, people hear an attorney and they say, oh, well, I had this attorney do this and I had this attorney do that. And it just kind of got me to start thinking, well, how do I treat my customers and what would I want? It's like anything in life, you don't go shopping for an attorney. You actually go find an attorney when you need one. It's not something you think about in advance. It's almost like an impulse purchase. You don't have time to do the research. So I said, well, what would I want out of an attorney? So it's like anything in life, is it a good fit? Does that attorney fit what you're looking for? With attorneys, there's kind of falls into two different categories. You have your larger firms, and you have your smaller practitioners. There's really not much in between. You go to the larger firms, they're going to probably have a wider practice area, probably a lot more money to throw at things. But the downside of that is you're going to lose that individual attention. When you go in, I always tell people, you want to talk to the attorney, ask them if you can talk to the attorney. You may meet that person the first time you go in and talk to them for 5 minutes, but a couple months down the road, 6 months down the road, 2 years down the road, are you going to be talking to that same attorney? When you go hire an attorney, for most cases, probably even with bankruptcy, you may be involved with this person for 2 or 3 years. You have to be able to get along with that person. You have to be able to know you can talk with them. When you go with a small firm, there's only 1 or 2 attorneys you're going to be talking to the entire time. And that can be a good thing. You can help build that one-on-one relationships. I am probably a little bit biased, of course. I am a solo practitioner. But at the same time, with the smaller firms, what I like to say is, I think we'll take more risks. When we see a case, you come in, you kind of give us that case a little bit more borderline. If we have the time in our schedule to squeeze you in, we're going to look to do that because we know who you're dealing with. You can get that one-on-one attention, and you're not having to worry about supporting that large firm. You just got to support yourself, so you know the books behind what's going on with it.
Okay. A lot of times too, and I think the one-on-one is good too, because that also gives you the option. If you can't help the person, you could just tell them flat out, you're in the wrong office. I may need to refer you to somebody else, or you'll just need to go do your own shopping.
That is correct. I'm a solo practitioner, but you give me any type of case, I have people I've dealt with in the past and say, these are who you go want to talk to. And then once you get in there, it's the kind of questions you want to ask the attorney, even though it's crunch time and it's a critical thing. There's some things you want to look for from that attorney, even in that first interview. Because when you sit down with that attorney for that initial interview, and we all do it, the attorney's finding out about you, but you got to be finding out about the attorney. Some critical questions you want to be talking to the attorney about is, how often are you going to be kept informed? When you're dealing with a three-year-long case, cases tend to go, there's a lot of action for a month or so, then it may sit for 6 months and just nothing's happening. So how often is that attorney going to communicate? When I've been talking to people, is one of their biggest complaints, not with me, but with other people, is I haven't heard from my attorney in 6 months. For all they know, the attorney has dropped dead. So as an attorney, we need to communicate with our clients, and clients need to be asking the attorney, hey, talk to us. And the other one, and I'm guilty of this, and I'm always working on it, is how does the attorney talk to you? You know, in any profession, attorneys, I'm sure with you in real estate, we all have our own little colloquialisms we use.
Right.
We have our shorthands we use. And does the attorney talk to you in English or legalese? Because I can give you a legal definition, and a lot of people won't volunteer, they don't know things. And what you got to do is insist, look, you need to explain this to me in English and not legalese. And in the profession, you always hear we need to make things simpler. But you know what? As a consumer, make sure the attorney's going to talk to you in English and not just use fancy terms and try to impress you with his knowledge. It should be more impressive that you understand what's going on.
Oh, that's the same thing I do with my clients, and just depending if you have a client that has been through real estate transactions, have some idea what the flow is like, it's one thing. I have a lot of first-time buyers, which is a lot of fun, but you know I have to slow myself down because I'll start throwing out real estate terms, and you know you pretty well have to hand somebody a glossary to figure out what you're talking about. So that's something I fight all the time too, is speaking in plain English, and having an attorney, a realtor, any other professional make sure they ask you, am I making myself clear where we need to go? So anyway,
that's very important.
So anyway, communication is the key to success for everybody. Let's talk a little bit about the world of bankruptcy. And let's do the 1, 2, 3s because my viewership is constantly changing. And the 1, 2, 3s of bankruptcy law pretty well. When is it necessary for somebody to file? And then we'll talk about some recent updates.
Well, I'd say when it's most necessary is after you add up all your expenses and bills for the month, you're short. And there's nothing you can do to increase your income to be able to cover those expenses. You know, your number one priority is you got to put food on the table, you got to put roof over the head, got to keep the lights on, got to put gas in the car. Once you're beyond those and you start looking at it as, you know what, I got another $500,000 in credit card bills I can't cover, that's when you should be seeking a bankruptcy attorney. That's on one side. The other side is, and this is my favorite, more the Chapter 13 side, is if you have a house and you're upside down and you have a second mortgage on that house, get in, file bankruptcy, you can turn that second mortgage into a credit card and get rid of the $50,000, $100,000 debt, paying $100 a month for 3 years.
Okay.
It helps get your right side up on your house.
Absolutely. It's a lot of that secondary debt.
That's correct.
It comes around and starts to drain you. Now, there has been it's getting a little more difficult, though, to strip the seconds and thirds, right?
That is correct. You've heard house prices are going up. They just reported, I think it was 11, 12% year over year in the last month. So, when your house prices go up, it can get more difficult to do that. So if I'm telling people if it's something you've been looking into or something you're hearing about for the first time, give me a call, and it's something we can talk about. If nothing else, you will be a more informed consumer.
Absolutely. It's even in my real estate. I have people coming to me. They're not sure what to do. But, even sometimes foreclosure, short sale, deed in lieu may not be necessary. A lot of times, people, and that's why you need to seek professional guidance, whether it's bankruptcy or real estate or anything else, is sometimes there's critical little things in their life that they're overlooking. And every once in a while, people actually, if they will pay attention, will have little pockets of, if they manage it correctly, ways out, pockets of cash that are definitely laying around. Something that's been coming up, and I just thought of this a little bit ago, is in the real estate deal, we've got folks that are still struggling on short sales for a variety of reasons. I'm getting several cases coming through right now. We've got a lot of trouble with IRS liens and state of California liens to deal with. Where does that all fall into the bankruptcy, short sale, discharging some of this stuff?
With tax debt, that's kind of a loaded question to be able to describe in a couple minutes. But what I'd say is with tax debt, and if it's confirmed that you owe it, and that's where Chapter 13 can come in real handy, because then you set up a payment plan, and then you can set up the payment plan so you just pay off the IRS and may not have to pay off your unsecured creditors. So you'll have a definite start time and a definite end time. When I reach this date, I'm done. There's no guesswork. There's no phone calls. There's no worry about them coming to sell any of your other assets. That's I think the power of bankruptcy is it's a guarantee. You do this, it's going to work. There is no ifs, ands, or buts, and there's no negotiations. It's more of a dictation, which is why I really like it.
Okay, so it is covered under the law then. So the law prescribes what happens.
Yes.
So they can't come back and grab extra money out of bank accounts.
No,
seize assets.
Even if it's the federal government, there is an obligation to make a claim, and we have an obligation to them to make sure the claim's accurate. But once we've done that, we've done our best faith efforts. That's it. You get one bite out of the apple, and that's all you get.
Okay. Well, that's definitely good to know. So that will still supersede then any unsecured debt.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And this one may be on your sphere of influence. What happens if a property is foreclosed on that has an IRS lien? What happens to that lien?
Well,
does it go away and then they pursue the individual?
Yes. Any tax lien, so it's like a property tax lien, is going to stay with the property.
Right.
But if it's an IRS lien, I would say the individual is still going to be responsible for that tax.
Right, but it is removed. It is cleared from the deed, though. As far as the lien
I don't know the
goes.
specific answer to that question because I've never actually gone into it. So I don't want to give the wrong
coming up
advice.
because it gets kind of spooky. People that are trying to buy property at the courthouse steps, they don't want to be buying an IRS lien. So, anyway, have you seen the economy is showing a few small signs of recovery right now. Real estate inventory has tightened up. We have short sales, very few bank-owned properties right now. Bankruptcy filings, are they going up, down, staying static, or?
I'd say the statistics are in, and over about the last 2 years, it's probably down about 40%.
Really?
And it's down a lot. A lot of people who jumped into the bankruptcy profession are jumping right back out as attorneys because they say, oh, there's just nobody people filing. Personally, I haven't seen that kind of decline in business. Mm-hmm. But when you pull the numbers from the website from the federal government, it's just showing that it's down.
Okay. Well, that's a good sign. And then, geographically, though, too, just like I was talking about with my first guest, Senator Runner, here in the Valley, we have pockets of the economy that are extremely difficult right now. And so that will make a difference. Okay, thank you for coming in today, Stephen.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate that, and looking forward to having you on again.